So today's lesson is going to be on molar mass and how to find molar mass. The molar mass is defined as the gram of a substance per mole. And in another video, we're going to really dive into specifically what is a mole and that. For right now, let's just start learning how to find molar mass. And the answer to how do we find it is going to be from our periodic table. So you're going to need to pull out your periodic table. Step 1. Trisulfur pentachloride. We have to write a formula. Now, trisulfur meaning S3, pentachloride is a Cl5. So you have to be able to write formulas correctly, because if you write a formula incorrectly, it's going to give you the wrong molar mass, which is ultimately going to mess up your problem as we start using these molar masses to solve for things. So welcome back, naming unit. All right, what are we going to do? I have 3 sulfurs. So I'm going to take the mass of sulfur from the periodic table, which is 32.06, and multiply that by 3 sulfurs, because I have 3 of them, plus chlorine. There are 5 chlorines, and chlorine has a mass of 35.45. So 3 sulfurs plus 5 chlorines gives us a mass of 273.46. And our unit here is going to be grams per mole. Mole being the molar and mass being the grams. Potassium nitride. All right, potassium has a mass of 39.1, and there are 3 potassiums. Nitrogen has a mass of 14.01, and there's 1 nitrogen. So I'm just going to have 14.01 in there. I don't need to multiply it by anything. And when I add these 2 values together, I get a mass of 131.31. So what I'd like for you to do, I'd like for you to pause this video, and then I'd like for you to come back and check your work. All right, so let's check our work. Now, as you're doing this, I've been putting these off to the side so you can see what I'm doing. The reality is, if you could just plug this into your calculator and put a value there. All right, so silver acetate, AgC2H3O2. So the reality is, I don't even really technically have to write down all of my work. I could simply put in the values into my calculator and then plug in my number, which would be 166.95. All right, I broke everything down for you so you could see where this value came from. So if you are at the point where you could just put these numbers into your calculator and solve, then please do so. All right, there's no shame in that. And you're going to put it in as a single unit using a parentheses when appropriate. 107.9 plus 12.01 times 2 in a parenthesis plus my hydrogen plus my oxygens. Do not put in 12.01 times 2 and then 1.01 times 3 and then 2 times 16 and then start adding in your individual things. That is way too much work. Time is money. You need to save time. This also opens you up to make a careless error. Let's say you type one of these in incorrectly. Let's say you accidentally leave one out. There's a bunch of different ways you can go wrong. So it is going to be a single problem for you, all right? So right there, a single problem. So let me break this number down just so y'all can see where we got it. Silver is 107.9. I have 2 carbons at 12.01. I have 3 hydrogens at 1.01, and I have 2 oxygens at 16. All of these masses came from the periodic table. All right, aluminum chlorate. Aluminum has a mass of 26.98. There's 1 chlorine times 3, so 3 total chlorines at 35.45. And again, these values are coming directly from the periodic table. I have 3 oxygens times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So that is 9 oxygens, which are at 16. So when I plug all of this into my calculator, I should get 277.33. All right, so let's look at our next example. Potassium sulfide. So we're going to step 1, write potassium sulfide. All right, I have 2 potassiums. Potassium having a mass of 39.1 plus sulfide, which is sulfur, 32.06. All right, so when I plug in 2 times 39.1 plus 32.06, I get a mass of 110.26. All right, our final one, lead 4 phosphate. All right, so I have 3 leads. Each lead has a value according to our periodic table of 207.2. I have 1 phosphorus times 4, so that is 4 phosphorus. And phosphorus has a value of 30.97 plus 4 oxygens times 4 is 16 total oxygens at a value of 16. So when I plug that into my calculator, let me plug that in. And again, I'm just going to do this as a single math problem. I'm not putting it in individually. I get a value of 1001.48. Now, notice my molar mass goes out 2 decimal places, and that is because our periodic table goes out 2 decimal places. So we're going to keep our molar mass to 2 decimal places always. All right, so keep that in mind, 2 decimal places.